Kubo and the Two Strings. Despite not being attached to a big name company like Disney, this was one of my most highly anticipated animated features of 2016. I mean, if those trailers don't hype you up that you're gonna be in for one hell of a ride, I don't know what can. Plus, you'll know that you'll get into something awesome from Laika. At the very least, they will always deliver in terms of memorable characters and reminders that stop motion is such a beautiful art in animation. But if there's one thing that does spark my intrigue in this, is that this will be the directorial debut of Travis Knight, who is not only the CEO of Laika, but also the head of animation for all their films. Think of him as the John Lasseter of stop motion in a sense. But now that Kubo is telling his tale on the big screen, will the imagination this film contains be as big as Kubo's journey? Or are there just two strings because the other was broken? Let's find out. The story. The big theme of this movie is all about telling a story. It's not just Kubo that has to tell the villagers about this grand tale. The movie also explains it to us the way he did. As you can see, it also has this large Japanese setting, which is also how the movie is told. The story is all about Kubo's quest to find this legendary armor in order to defeat his vengeful grandfather, and it is all told in the most epic way possible. It emphasizes the danger and the action that the characters have to face and endure throughout their journey, making it one of the most intense animated films in recent years. And the best part of it is the way that the movie gets creative with its action and the balance to take a moment to breathe before jumping into the next peril.
Life has a funny way of keeping things balanced.
Monkey, do you ever say anything encouraging?
I encourage you not to die.
What helps this is with the fantasy elements and the legend that this movie builds itself. It truly feels like a living, breathing ancient Japanese folktale. How Kubo's family has these magical powers and the ways they can either enchant people or hurt them. It allows the audience to enter in this new world where the rules are more flexible and what can happen make it more accepting and more believable. As for the legends around Kubo's family and the stories he would tell about Hanzo, it really gives the setting around the characters a lot more depth, feeling like it's a place where it contains a lot more stories to tell than just Kubo's journey. Also, whenever it takes a break from all the action, it takes a moment to show some heart. How stories are a way for people to forever live on, especially when you tell about the ones who are closest to you. If there has to be one little thing that I have to find to critique, it would most likely be the humor. I understand that it can try to lighten the mood so that the kids don't always have to deal with something that's always serious, but you could tell that the movie's strong suit is more to tell this journey and not to crack jokes, especially when it does feel out of place when it tries to be funny. It's not the kind of movie to do so. Luckily, it only does that a few times, and with everything else with the story, the movie is as great of a storyteller as Kubo himself. The animation. Laika has always delivered some top quality stop motion in the past, but with the animation in this film, they brought the medium to a whole new level. What stands this out from the other stop motion films is the large scale that it built itself upon, and judging from the behind the scenes clips, that's because everything that you see actually is as big as it looks. What makes it great is not only that the animators control it as well as their smaller puppets, but also gives a lot of room to put in some detail, rather it be the boat made out of leaves or the giant red skeleton.
Did you know you could do that?
However, it's not just the big things that makes the animation great. All the other aspects are executed beautifully as well. In terms of the designs, it is heavily inspired by ancient Japanese art, which really helps push the feeling of how it's telling an old folk tale from the country. This is really evident with the design of the human characters. With what the tale of the Princess Kaguya did in hand-drawn, Kubo nailed the style in stop motion. This is on top of the more interesting designs coming out from the non-human characters that really brought out the movie's creativity. As for the character animation, You could tell how the guys at Laika are at the top of their game. The amount of artistry needed to pull out the movie's action scenes is admirable. You could tell how there's no pulling back from the danger and intensity each scene includes, and that's how it manages to make it so engaging along the process. But then you also have the effects, which is another amazing feat that Laika accomplished. It really does add a sense of magic in the film, especially when Kubo uses his shamisen in order to bring his origami papers to life, and how they can come out in large numbers. It's not hard to think about how good the animation is here. But what is hard to think is how could Laika top themselves after that? The characters. What is a good story without some great characters to follow their journey? What makes the story so effective is the role that each character has to play, and they contribute to this so beautifully along with carrying some surprises. Starting with Kubo, he starts off as a storyteller telling the legend of his father's legacy, but then has to go and live them by finding the magical pieces of armor and stop his grandfather, the Moon King. What makes Kubo so great as a character is how not only how they portray him as the hero, but also as a kid. He doesn't always suddenly come out saving the day. He can have his vulnerable moments and would need the aid of others to get him out of a sticky situation. That, and he doesn't always take things seriously. Sometimes he can bring out his shamisen just to have fun with the magical origami papers. This results Kubo to not only be very believable, but can have some relatability as well. Then there's Monkey, a charm that came to life who makes sure to keep Kubo safe and heading to the right direction. She starts out very serious, but as the movie progresses, she starts to open her heart and focus more on taking care of the kid. Also, there's the one who accompanies on their journey, Beetle. He was once a samurai and fought alongside Kubo's dad, but then was cursed to be a giant beetle and have his memory wiped off clean of his past. Although the movie tries to make him more of the comic relief of the film, which doesn't always hit its mark, he is proven to be a useful character by trying to figure out what happened in his past.
The mighty beetle is victorious!
And then there are the sisters, who are the daughters of the Moon King and work for him to catch Kubo. As villains, they are absolutely freaky in the best way possible. With their dark powers and threateningly calm nature, they are on the same levels as the other mother in Coraline. There are a few other characters included, but that would go into spoiler territory, and there are some others mentioned that they reveal more of their true nature that does give them a lot more depth. But when you learn about who these characters are, they will be worth remembering for a long time. Kubo and the Two Strings is the best stop-motion animated feature since Coraline. With an ancient Japanese-style story that's filled with action and heart, amazing animation that brings stop-motion to new heights, and wonderfully crafted characters, it is truly admirable how it stands as one of the best original animated feature in recent years. This is an absolute must-watch that has to be seen to be believed. If you've enjoyed Laika's previous works, then this will make you love them even more. This is an amazing accomplishment in animation, and that's exactly why I'm glad to give this the AniMat's seal of approval. It's only another example of how stop motion can be so great.
See the love there that's sleeping, while my guitar gently weeps.